Sorry for the abrupt ending of the last video. I took this as an opportunity to make a part two because that was a long video. Anyway, I was happy to see that I didn't mess up the audio in the end. It still was recording both my voice and Seven Bowmore in the video that I was showing. And I'm going to put that back up on the screen and just continue and pick right back up where we left off. And sharing this. Okay, so what we were talking about, and again, we're reading Alice Bailey's book, Esoteric Psychology. We're on the question 2, what's the origin, purpose, goal, purpose, and plan of the soul? And we're going through the 7 rays, and we're on the last of the rays of aspect, which are the first 3 rays, which make up the Trinity, which make up the triangle, the first, the whole, the portion of the rays that represents deities, trifecta, the Father, the Son, the Mother, that energy that helps us to create all things in existence. All forms and all things that are within existence are represented on these first 3 rays. And then the rays of attribute break down further into a further distinctions of the specific qualities and attributes that we can all embody and make up on the 7 rays. And the 7 rays are all equal, 1 through 7, but the first 3 are just especially so in that they have this representation of the Trinity, the triangle, right, which goes into what we were talking about with this bit of Sevan Bomar's video 7, where we're looking at this as a reference to where we were in the book. And again, this is on page 76, 67, I'm dyslexic there, on the text. So if you go to the Lucius Trust publisher's website and you find the book there, they're all free, public domain. And if you have a hard copy, it matches up with these red page numbers. So I just type in 67 and it'll go right to the page where we're at in the actual book. If you were studying along with other people that actually had a copy of the book and not, or are looking at it on the publisher's website. Anyway, so we were right here reading the beginning of this, and we're breaking down all this first paragraph. There's like so much here that's what we started. If you were in that last video, if you were just starting in with this one, I would recommend checking that out because this was really helpful for me to break down, definition of terms within this instead of just reading the paragraph and moving on. We're going to like dissect this, right, to get the full understanding. So we looked at the Warden of the South. We looked at the shining living stone. We looked at the temple. We looked at what the Warden of the South is building. And we were right here referring to this last part here, where he's preparing the cornerstone and wisely placing it in the north under the eye of God himself and subject to the balance of the triangle. So this triangle, I want to just spend some time here really quick just to make sure that I don't miss this opportunity, because this was an eye-opener for me as well. When we're talking about the triangle, we know about sacred geometry and the symbols and things like that, where we break down, there's triangles and the circles of the flower of life and all these shapes, and how the triangle moves into how all of these sounds and symbols and vibrations, sacred geometry, break down into certain formations. And you see in the water experiments or the sand drum experiments where you can play a tone and the sand will form into a certain shape every single time, and it's these sacred geometric shapes. And so we pay special attention to this in the rays, even because when we're looking at this ray of mathematic exact activity, but more so when we get into the 4th ray of beautifying harmony. So this is like the exact architecture and things like that. And then when we're moving into the 5th ray and scientific, logic and reasoning and putting things together and mapping it out, but specifically in 4th ray when we're looking at the art and like what is it, Michelangelo, or you're looking at this specific, what is it? I don't know, the Peruvian man, which is like the full balance of perfection, and everything is written out to the specific angle to create like perfect features and symmetry and things like that. It's through these sacred geometry, and these shapes are what give credence to the formation of all that we see and experience in reality. And when it's in these, oh, here's some of these symbols right here, you know, see like different things like that. But they're, you know, you've probably seen them everywhere. But anyways, the triangle, when he says right here, 7 mentions that the triangle is just 180 degrees. So, you know, it's like the 3 corners, the 90, 90 degrees. Sorry. He does the 100, I'm just writing a note. So you have the one triangle, you have the 180 degrees. And that's the 360 degree corners of a triangle, right? It's only part of one piece. It's one piece. One piece is missing to make something complete, to make it on the 3rd dimension, so that there's one triangle and then another triangle is added that signifies the spirit. And then that creates the animated being. Okay, so just to look at this visually. So we have this scene in the text. We're talking about where he wants the warden of the south to prepare the cornerstone wisely and wisely place it in the north under the eye of God himself. And we're looking at the eye in a second, and subject to the balance of the triangle. And what's the balance of the triangle? So we're looking at the balance of the triangle. A triangle creates perfect balance. And we have this with the pyramids and all the great architecture in Egypt and things like that. And what are those great pyramids? All this stuff. What is it about the triangle? And here 7 mentions it too. I'm going to play this so you can hear it again in case you're just starting with this video, and then I'm going to show the images and we're going to keep going.
Lights to shining them through crystals to extract their essence, and then animating their essence in fleshly beings or triangles, which are only 180 degrees because it's one piece missing to make something complete, to make it on the 3rd dimension. So there's one triangle, and then another triangle is added that signifies the spirit, and then that creates the animated being.
So the one triangle is the body, the form, or the physical plane. So when we have the pyramid pointing up, or the triangle pointing up, it's supposed to represent, and you know, all that scary, you know, symbolism and all that we just didn't understand. I know when I first started this journey, and I was just like, all the symbols and the gestures and all that stuff. And I thought, oh, it's all demonic, it's all satanic, all this stuff, blah, blah, blah. But it's really just that imbalance that we were talking about in the last video. So certain people understand the power of things and the symbols and the meanings and the sacred geometry, and they harness that energy. They use the symbols and they adopt them and they take them for themselves so that they can use the knowledge and the wisdom to better themselves, to tip that scale further. And then what he says a second ago, it creates this crumbling of society because it's putting all this pressure on us to where we didn't want to pay attention. We didn't want to see it. Now we have to see it. We see the people going like this and see all this symbolism everywhere. In a second, I'll get to one of the most like famous kind of depictions that nobody really talks about, that we see it for this last section. But anyways, really quick to just hone in on this pyramid. The pyramid upright is the body, the physical plane. Upright, where the pointing at the top is the physical plane, our physical world, body. When it's pointing downward, it's talking about the spirit, the spiritual plane or whatnot. So we're having, opposite. Upward is the spirit plane, and then the downward one is the physical plane because you're pointing down to the ball. B-A-L, the ball is earth. Earth is a ball, right? So B-A-A-L, the cabal, all that stuff, and you get into the etymology of all that. So the downward one, the physical world, the realms below, and the one pointing above, up to the spirit, whatever, the physical spirit. When you put them together, you get this star, right? And we can see that symbology over here in the Star of David. It shows the perfect star, right? You have one triangle pointing upright, and then you have another triangle over it pointing downward, and we get this perfectly even symmetrical Star of David. So this is another 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm saying that here, but where we actually see it is the pentagram, right? So when we go back, pentagram, we're looking at the 5, and it's just kind of put on its tilt, and it's got the circle around it. And what that's all about, 7 just mentioned in this talk, that if you listen to the full talk, it talks about how there's the 72 times 5, the 5 points of this star, And this is kind of similar. So you have the two triangles interlocking, and then it's just more like it's used in different ways and different things. So you can see it, like, again, you see it in representation of, a religion. But this one is within a circle. This one is within a circle because when you have this different degrees, 72-degree angles, 5 of them, 72 times 5 equals 360. So the star equals the perfect circle, right? The star makes a perfect circle. And then with the two triangles, 180 times 180, 180 plus 180 equals 360 as well. So two triangles equals 360, a circle, two triangles equal a circle, and the 5 points, 72-degree angles of the pentagram equals 360. So we're looking at this circle, the circle shape. And then here in this one, you even see the eye in the very middle. And you can see that it makes the pentagon shape there. So that's another shape. And there's like all these things that just unravel when you look at sacred geometry too. It's a really wild, interesting dive too, I'll say. But what we see here when we're looking at this, and these are all like more of the the magic and witchcraft pentagram, right? And they're using the symbol and they have it in the circle because there's that bit of knowledge, right? And they're using it to tilt the scales, right? Because these other people, you have it, and who knows, maybe these folks know what they're doing who are with the symbol too, but the rest of us in the middle, being pressurized like diamonds, we don't know what's going on with all these symbols. We don't know, when we're in our innocence, we aren't suspecting that people are using symbols to harness power from them and understanding what that means on a deeper level, because we're not taught that in our primary school experience, right? We're not taught that in K through 12. So it must not be anything relevant to us, right? But we see that it's so pervasive in our society and it's for a reason. People are using that energy. So what that is again, those stars, that 5-pointed star and the circle around it creates this completion of the whole, right? In magical works, people put a circle around something. I've seen it in as a protection. You're protecting what's within that, versus a square when you have a box, which is like a lot of our reality right now. We have houses and things like that. They're not made in circles. They're made in squares. And I think there was something, I don't know where I heard it, but there's something where they point out that there's not a lot of straight lines found in nature. There's mostly curves and angles and circles and things is what you find more naturally in nature. But in this reality, which is, they call the matrix or the matrices, which is in mathematics, the matrices are these boxes, right? That's these boxes. And then you hear in this magical work, when they do things, they put it in boxes, box people in, just like we're put in these box houses and stuff like that, these energies, these square things. But none of that really matters when you awaken to the information and you awaken to, your decision to pick a side, and you can pick a side and you can balance out the scales. Like, I don't have to use dark arts in order to manifest what I want. I can use that God force, God power energy in a pure way, the Jehovian versus the Saturnalian, which Seven talks about in that talk that we played a bit of in the first video and just now too, and that balance those scales. There's a natural form of manifestation, and there's just different ways to go about the same whole, but you're still using these same symbols. You're still using this same energy because there is only one source. There is only one main energy that creates the 3, that creates the 7, that creates the many other different flavors of what we see in this reality. So that's what we're trying to get an understanding of here, is that pressurization that creates the diamond, that is our awakening within this realm, this dimension. And the last thing I'll show on this topic with the 5-pointed star is, again, like the Allah, where I heard this, that's the arm, leg, arm, head, is Allah, the religion. So arm, leg, arm, head, which is the 5 points of a star. And you see other images pointed here with it printed out. And this looks like the Peruvian man, right? With the classical art of the Peruvian man. that posture of that perfect balance in that form, which is very much like the star, the 5-pointed star. And it's just interesting when you see these, let's see if I can, is that what it's, am I saying that? Da Vinci Man, what is he called? Peruvian. Okay, Vitruvian Man. Okay, let's get serious because I gotta wrap this up. It is so late right now and I need to go to bed. Where did I? The Vitruvian Man, not Peruvian. Wait, let's go back. Let's see. Okay, I gotta focus. That was hilarious. All right, so the Peruvian Man, I just love how Microsoft knows what I should be thinking. I'm like the Vitruvian Man, the Da Vinci Man. Okay, so this is the sacred geometry. It's based off of um, the exact calculations and measurements to make that exact, like that perfect being, right? You can look into that. Don't look for Peruvian, look for Vitruvian. And here is how you spell that right there. All right, so that's the last thing again, like I was showing you with, so just the symbolism and how it's so pervasive. We're going to jump real quick over the Peruvian Man and go back to the Allah, the arm, leg, arm, head. Just very interesting, fascinating, right? But again, what we're looking at here is that we have the upside down and the right side up triangle combined to create this whole being or this vehicle, this Merkaba. You'll see that imagery in the Merkaba talks and things too, that our body is a vehicle that we can move through this reality in a way that is easier, right? Or it's more challenging. It's more challenging if you are to try to use half of your body, right? If you're trying to work and operate through life with only half of your body working, you're not going to be as efficient and move as quickly as you could through using all of your functional your features and all the equipment that you had available to you. If you had your car and only half of the car was working, you're not going to get anywhere. You're just going to drive around in circles. So understanding to use both vehicles, the physical and the spiritual body, then we combine and then we become this unified force, this more powerful force. And then again, we're going to play this now, and hopefully it makes a little bit more sense when he talks about the 180 degrees, because it's one piece, and then one piece is missing. Last time.
And then animating their essence in fleshly beings or triangles, which are only 180 degrees, because it's one piece missing to make something complete, to make it on the third dimension. So there's one triangle, and then another triangle is added that signifies the spirit, and then that creates the animated being.
Okay, so one triangle is the physical, and the other triangle signifies the spirit, and that creates the animated being. So what creates an animated being is the union between understanding our physical and our spiritual bodies. So we need to understand that there is more to us than this physicality. There's more to us than the five senses, the realm around us. There's more to life than just the physical. There's the spiritual. And when we learn about the spiritual, we're getting into the metaphysical. So, right, we're getting into the metaphysics of things, the spiritual side, the first causes, all of those things. And so we're finding balance through the triangle. We're balancing our triangle by understanding our full mechanics. How do we get to our wholeness? Wholeness and balanced vibrations is what Seven says in his tribe and his community whenever they greet each other. Wholeness and balanced vibrations. That's that wholeness of the circle. So you get the two triangles and you get that math, that sacred geometry adding up to your 360 wholeness, right? I have my physical and I have my spiritual, right? I have my body and I have my spirit. And then within that, we've got our mind and all this other stuff. So this is just tiptoeing into that innerstanding. And so lastly, to break down this last piece right here, again, starting from the top, let the warden of the South continue with the building. What are we building? He's building with the cornerstone. Let him prepare the cornerstone and wisely place it. He's going to wisely place that stone. Again, that stone that we talked about, which stone? We're talking about the shining living stone that fits into the temple's plan with right exactitude. Shining living stone, the sorcerer, I'm sorry, the sorcerer's stone. Oh my gosh, now I'm talking about Harry Potter. The philosopher's stone, but it's named that way for a reason as well too. Sorcerer's stone, philosopher's stone, the pineal gland. And again, refer back to the other video if you haven't watched it for more about that and the calcification of it and things like that, and how we're pressurizing that inner crystal or inner diamond, the pineal gland, in order to wake up to our connection to that spiritual source, our connection to the higher realms. We're very connected and tethered in down to our ball, this earth ball, the lower triangle, but we need to get connected and tapped in to our intuition. And again, like through meditation and things like that. So the shining living stone fits into the temple's plan. And where are we going to place that stone? We're going to place it in the north. The warden of the south, again, which on the right over here it represents the mind or intelligence of the soul. And the warden of the soul is the one that guides and guards and blocks our realm in the darkness when the sun disappears, and raises the column as a sign that during the hours of darkness, rectitude and wisdom shall prevail. And what was rectitude again? Rectitude is morally correct behavior or thinking, righteousness. Righteousness will prevail even in the darkness. And so how do we make that happen? We're going to be the wardens of the South. We are going to prepare our cornerstone, our shining living stone, placing it wisely in the north. And like on most compasses, the north is on the top, right? Under the eye of God himself. Now the eye of God, so the watchful eye, because God sees all, isn't he omnipresent, omnipotent, knowing energy, all that is, the source of all that is. So under the watchful eye of the north of God, to balance the triangle. So like triangle pyramid eye, like I just wanted to like, nobody talks about this anymore. It's just, here's our $1 bill. If you have a $1 bill, just take that out and just give reverence to the fact that we have this on the back of our currency, on the very basic first piece of currency that we use in that papacy, the paper. We've got that going on here. The cornerstone, the pyramids of reference to the great cornerstone this is the capstone. We talk about the capstone. The capstone is missing on the Great Pyramid and all this stuff. There's so much going on here. Look into it. There's different little like rabbit holes to go down, but right here, we've got it right here on our currency. Current is energy. Money is energy. We exchange energy through our money. And right now, this realm controls us through this energy of this currency. And so we see on here the symbolism that's telling us also to place our cornerstone wisely in the north under the eye of God to balance out the triangle. And what triangle are we balancing out right here is we're wrapping up, balancing out, understanding our trinity of our first three rays. And sorry, I'm just trying to get to that image here. Once this shrinks, I can go in there, click it. So the first, second, and third ray, again, these make our rays of aspect, the Father, the Son, the Father, the Mother, and the Son. The Holy Ghost, the Father, the Son, and let me go over here. Close this, right here. Another one, I just pulled up this images from L.S.A. Bailey, one of the diagrams of the logos of the solar system. We got the Father, the Son, the Holy Ghost, and it's showing that the mirroring, cosmology, or sorry, syncretism, I think it is, when you compare the different religions and examples of what aligns. And we have Sat, Ananda, and Chit, Shiva, Vishnu, Brahma, Father, Son, Holy Ghost, first, second, third logos, and it's the unmanifest and creative wisdom, Father is the unmanifest, all that is. Creative wisdom, active intelligence, the mother energy. Manifest, the sun, which is the blend of spirit and matter. Okay, and that's, again, represented on our chart that we're just wrapping up. Sorry, I'm going to go there later. Of our, this is driving me crazy right now. Did I close it? There it is. Our rays of aspect. Love wisdom, second ray, is the blending of spirit and matter. Matter is mother. It's third ray, mother aspect. Active implementation of inclusive reason, the weaver of karma in time and space, the clear light of the mind, broad-mindedness, sincerity of purpose, loving discrimination, abstract mind, patience, philosophic aptitude. This is the ray of the philosopher. So the higher mind thinking and thoughts. In the same way that it's kind of blending, and we'll get into it in the when we do look at that biblical verse and things like that. But let's go back to here and continue on with this next section. Actually, I think I wanted to keep those things open. So I can, I'll just link everything back in I'll put all these links to these images and stuff, whatever, in the video comments, so that you can refer to them if needed. But to continue on, so we really dissected this this first paragraph, and I trust that that was what was needed in order to share that. I'm going to go back to our normal share and continuing on. Let the researcher of the past uncover the thought of God hidden deep within the mind of the Kumaras of love, and thus let him lead the Agnishvatas waiting within the palace of darkness into the palace of, waiting in the place of darkness into the place of light. So again, we have this discussion of dark and light, and who's going to guide us, and how are we going to be led? We have to awaken, light up that stone and choose. That pressure is forcing us to choose, and in that energy, we're seeing that they're both pulling on that same source. You know, whether it's the pentagram or the Star of David, whether it's religion or, you know, Satanism, they're both pulling on these same energies, the same source of this infinite power. But what we've been told is that we don't have access to that infinite power. We've taught nothing of it, or else we would know more about our dollar bill and what this symbolism means and how it aligns with, you know, sacred geometry and things like the Star of David and Allah and all of these things. We would know that. It would be common knowledge to all of us, but it's not. And so we weren't given, you know, the opportunity to rise into our power. We use 10% of our brains. So we're learning this through esoteric teachings and whatnot, so that we can awaken and rise in our consciousness to become whole, right? And so the references here of the Kumaras of love, the Kumaras, so this is all in some of the other teachings of Bailey, and this is Hinduism. The Kumaras represented, let's see if this will give that definition from here. Didn't give it here, but I looked it up. So there's 4 Kumaras are the sons of this energy that are, they embody, basically they're the teachers of these, this is ancient teachings. So they're the teachers of love, the embodiments of love. I feel like you probably don't believe me right now, so I'm gonna just pull that up so I can. Okay, so right here, the Kumaras, the 4 sages, Puranic texts of Hinduism. So roam the universe as children, generally named Sanaka Kumara Lal. Let me see. They are said to wander throughout the materialistic and spiritualistic universe without any desire but with the purpose to teach. So these are the teachers of first mind-born creations and sons of Brahma. Okay. And so this is saying the teachers of love, essentially. Let the researcher of the past uncover the thought of God hidden deep within the mind of the Kumaras of love, and thus let him lead the Agnishvatas, which are the solar angels. Again, teachings that are in other books from Alice Bailey and the Treatise on Cosmic Fire. I didn't realize it goes heavy into that and reveals it, so I just looked it up real quick. Another reference, I'll put this up there. This is a good read. Information on about 18 million years ago, sublime fiery beings came down from their higher planes to endue man with the mind principle. So our mind principle is that the other piece of the Trinity that we hear about is body, mind, and spirit, right? So that other way to balance ourselves out is not only by a healthy body, a healthy spirit, but a healthy mind. So that mind force, which separates us from the animal kingdom, where we're able to discern and to think and to cognize and to analyze things and look at ourself, having that internal lens so that we can rise up in consciousness. The Agnishvatas are solar angels that descended up to the third subplane of the mental plane to remain near the dense physical world, because we're dense, we're in these bodies, we're in this boxy world that keeps us stuck and rigid and cut off and disconnected from our spirit energy. And so these solar angels descended to a level that's closer to our dense physical world in order to imbue us and send down this energy to stimulate the mind of man so that we can differentiate ourselves from the animal kingdom and become awakened beings, alerted, aware beings, and we can ascend in our consciousness, again, to tip the scales back into balance, right? Because the realm was hijacked by those who didn't share the knowledge of the power. So we go through all this schooling, intense schooling and education, which puts us in a box, right? Check a box. Who are you? I am this profession. I am this gender. I am this, whatever it may be, religion. I am this political sign. I am this, checking the box, put myself into all these tiny boxes that further and further separate me from the person next to me. I am this religion, I am this culture, I am this, all yada, 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 so that we are further and further away from the truth, which is that we are spirit as well as physical, and we are connected to everything, and everything is within us, and we are within everything. It's just in different varying degrees, different shades and colors, and that's what was the purpose of deity, is to break that down and to show itself, express itself into all these different forms. All of our variety is not for nothing, it's for a purpose, and then deity is still within each of us. And so that's what we're learning the rays, so we can understand that energy. And the first three rays make up that trinity, but it goes deeper and deeper. The 1 into the 3 into the 7 into the many others, right? It breaks down and down and down into all of our small parts, which makes up all of us. But those solar angels descended down to give us the mental capacity to understand that, so that we're not just animals wandering around aimlessly, right? But when we are asleep, we still kind of are animals wandering around aimlessly when we don't have that knowledge and the scales are still unbalanced, right? So waiting within the place of darkness and into the place of light. So we're being led from the place of darkness, which is also when we're asleep, when we're slumbering, when we close our eyes, we're in darkness, right? In the place of darkness where we don't see, we can't see, we can't understand. We turn on our inner light, our inner understanding, and then we are in the place of light. Light is also information. Light is something that is activating, because that's what this realm is played off of, again, is light, vibration, energy, sound. So when we move from the place of darkness into the place of light, that's an awakening. Like our eyes are open, our inner eye and our outer eyes both open, balance. the balance of the triangle, body, mind, and spirit. Moving on. Let the keeper of the sparks breathe with the breath divine upon the points of fire, and let them kindle to a blaze that which is hidden, that which is not seen, and so illumine all the spheres whereon God works. Again, making everything that was unknown to us known to us. Whatever spheres God works on, we work on. We understand it. We need to know that Jehovian versus that Saturnalian, or Saturnian, as I've heard it, energy. We just need to know, be aware of both of it. My potential to be on this side is just as strong as my potential to be on that side. But the pressure of this realm is duality for a purpose of making a choice. Which side are you on? And just go into understanding what that is and what that contributes to the whole. But because we're so imbalanced, the rise of consciousness says, hey, we need more of you souls to activate and to understand that this wasn't the only choice. This realm would teach you that, oh, the only way to advance is to cheat, lie, steal, drug, sex, kill, all that stuff. That's the only way. But no, there's balance, right? It didn't ever have to get like this. And just as we rise up, we're not going to rise up to them and be like, oh, we're going to take power over and put all of them in the box and make them all go become Christians. That's not what it's all about. It's not all about this or this. It's about balance, justice, right? The scales. Continue on. I would call to attention the fact that all I can do here is to put into words certain ancient symbols, and so emphasize the process adopted by the early initiate teachers of enunciating a word or sound, which produced a symbolic form, which in its turn is capable of translation into words. These must in their turn be comprehended intuitively and adapted to individual need, and thus be assimilated into the life practice. Again, otherwise, these ancient and interesting ideas, these interpretive names, and these aphorisms conveying the power of qualities are worse than useless and serve but to increase responsibility. So this is just all basically talking about above, like basically all I could do here is put into words all the symbols and the ancient things so that you can intuitively understand what all of this means. These things below, what we're going to get into, how to interpret all that in the same way that we did with breaking down the symbols, the symbol rich, like the tarot cards, right? They're symbol rich. And we broke down some of these symbols, and then you can see how easy it is to just look at a book that's written like this and just kind of, if we just look at the words and take in the words, we're not going to take in the message. It's really actually written really beautifully. If I can jump back here, if you can bear with me to this Agnishvata's post where I said I'll link to this too. This first paragraph is actually really powerful because it shows, like, if we just rush through and we just read these words, we're not going to be taking in as much as we did when we dissected it and figured out all that, right? I had to take the time to look into this and to know that, no, when I first looked up the Warden of the South and I got all this Game of Thrones stuff because this realm wants me to be like, consume entertainment and there's nothing deeper here. I had to go deeper to see, this definition that I have over here on the right of the page, right? I had to go deeper. You have to go deeper. That's what the philosopher and the energy of this third ray is. It's philosophers, big ideas, abstract thoughts, connecting things, using that mother energy to pull things together and to combine it to understand what is that perfect elixir to mix and manifest what we're wanting to do, which is become creators, divine beings, to activate ourselves.